Today, Marvel announced their publishing slate for the month of February, which includes tons of interesting titles, including some brand new additions to the upcoming Sins of Sinister crossover, some even more wrinkles into the Goblin situation happening over in Amazing Spider-Man. Plus, we also get the debut of Bloodline, the daughter of Blade. My name is Paco Braddock, and let's go ahead and look through the brand new comics releasing from Marvel in the month of February. But before we get deeper into the video, wanted to go ahead and encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel if it's your first time checking out our content, and please make sure to go ahead and hit that like button as well. So I want to go ahead and just show off Marvel's upcoming February slate of comics that they just announced. And I want to kick off the list by showing you 5 of my most anticipated comics from the House of Ideas. Let's go ahead and kick things off here immediately with Immoral X-Men #1. This is kind of a crossover title from Marvel introducing the X-Men to the Sins of Sinister event. The Immortal X-Men title, also written by Immoral X-Men writer Kieron Gillen, has been one of my favorite titles on store shelves. The previous issue of the series was absolutely stunning, and I love how the title is kind of changing the name to kind of lean into the sinister direction with Immoral X-Men. So this issue is written by Kieron Gillen, illustrated by Paco Medina, and we have this cover by Leinil Francis Yu. I want to read you the solicitation text for the issue to tease a little bit more about the Immoral X-Men. They said the mutants were humanity's future. It's 10 years later, and they were proven to be right. The X-Men exist in a world that adores and respects them. So why are they sworn to crush it? But while they do, Emma can take a few minutes out to crush Mr. Sinister. So I love how this kind of cover is teasing a confrontation between Emma Frost and Mr. Sinister. It's interesting how the two were formerly villains in the X-Men universe, but have now been reformed as well. So this is probably my most anticipated of these Sins of Sinister crossovers for the month, but we're also getting the Storm in the Brotherhood of Mutants #1 from Al Ewing and Paco Medina, as well as Nightcrawlers #1 by Cy Spurrier and Paco Medina as well. So super excited for all of these Sins of Sinister crossovers. I love how all the X-Men books have been laying the seeds, especially in the pages of Immortal X-Men and the main X-Men title for this Sins of Sinister event. So it should be a ton of fun, and it's almost here. And our next book, the second book that I wanted to go ahead and spotlight is Red Goblin #1. This series is written by Alex Paknadel, illustrated by Jan Bazaldua, with a cover by InHyuk Lee. And I want to read off our solicitation text for the Red Goblin. Spinning out of the pages of Venom, Normie Osborn receives his own symbiote at last. As a new Red Goblin, will Normie fulfill his destiny as an Osborn, or will he and his symbiote be able to make a difference for the better? This series is very interesting because Marvel has been going all in with various goblins. We recently got the return of the Hobgoblin over in the pages of Amazing Spider-Man. Marvel's publishing a Gold Goblin series that takes on the role of, Norman Osborn, seeing if he's able to kind of reform his villainous past. There's also the Goblin Queen, who's a relatively new goblin introduced, but this Red Goblin is something completely different. It's actually Norman Osborn's grandson, Normie Osborn. And just interested to see kind of what direction this series goes in, and to see more of, Normie as the Red Goblin as well. I think Venom has done a wonderful job teasing Normie like in the symbiote outfit, and I'm really interested to see where kind of the Red Goblin property goes. And I love how Marvel has all these goblins right now. A lot of people think it's maybe detracting from the series, but I love how complex the plotting is getting and how each goblin is different from the last. I hope Marvel continues to flesh out, each individual goblin so that all of these goblins enhance the comics instead of weighing them down. The next title that I'm incredibly excited to talk about is Dark Web Finale #1. This is written by Zeb Wells. We have art and cover from Adam Kubert. And let's go ahead and read off our solicitation text for Dark Web Finale. The dawn rises after the demonic invasion of New York City, but what will that light reveal? It will reveal Chasm's final gambit and the new denizens of hell he helped create and unleash on Spider-Man and the X-Men. See how Dark Web changed this city's landscape forever. I am fascinated to see how Limbo is going to kind of converge upon the Marvel Universe again, spearheaded by, Madeline Pryor and Chasm, Ben Reilly, waging a war, against Spider-Man. This crossover, I've made several videos about it. I've been so pumped for it. We've gotten a couple teases for it, but it's about to come out over the next few weeks, actually. So the event is ending in February with this Dark Web Finale. Again, I'm super excited to see kind of what the fallout is in the main Amazing Spider-Man title. And also over in the main Amazing Spider-Man book, writer Joe Kelly is joining the title for kind of the month of February, who's a great writer. So I encourage you guys to check out that series. Just didn't have enough room on the list to put it here, but interesting things happening in the world of Spider-Man. Let's go ahead and talk about Bloodline, the Daughter of Blade. This is written from Danny Lore. We have art from Kieron Darboe with an A cover from Ryan Stegman. Let's read off our solicitation text for Bloodline. It's in her blood. Brielle Brooks is a good kid, no matter what her teachers say. It's not her fault she's developing vampiric superpowers and the undead want to brawl. And as if problems at school aren't enough, Bree's got a wild ride ahead of her. She's about to discover that she's the daughter of the infamous vampire hunter and daywalker known as Blade. I've talked about this series several times up on my channel. The reason why I'm so excited for it is because I think there is so much potential in the Blade property that hasn't been realized yet. Utilizing a kind of like offspring or a new dimension, or not dimension rather, but kind of a legacy Blade character with Bloodline is a really good idea for Marvel. This is something that can be used in the cinematic universe and is going to enhance the lore of the publisher. I really like the teases that we got for Bloodline in Crypt of Shadows #1. Got a video for that as well. Please be sure to check it out. And I think that the creators that they've assembled with Danny Lore and Kieron Darboe have an interesting perspective and, sense of, writing on this character. I think this looks really interesting. It really has all the potential in the world. And I hope that it pans out and we see this character on the MCU very, very soon. Last book that we're going to go ahead and talk about today is something that was announced over at Comic-Con and continues the work that Tini Howard has been doing, with Betsy Braddock from titles like Excalibur and Knights of X. This is Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain #1, written by Tini Howard with art from Vasco Georgiev, and we have a cover from Erica D'Urso. I want to read off our solicitation text. The captain comes home. And she's got a whole new mission. With Otherworld settled, Braddock Manor restored, and her brother Captain Avalon on her side, you'd think things look pretty good for Betsy Braddock. Only it turns out good old Britain doesn't want her back. No one wants a mutant menace carrying the shield of Captain Britain. And Betsy's made more than a few enemies along her way. Questless and countryless, Betsy must define a role for herself. A fresh take on a beloved character. Don't miss the latest Tini Howard extravaganza and fan favorite Vasco Georgiev's Marvel debut. So there you have it. That is Captain Britain. I think Tini Howard has such a wonderful voice for Betsy Braddock and has really elevated Betsy Braddock to become, the Captain Britain and live up to her full potential. I really hope that this series goes a long time and is able to kind of cement Betsy's role on Krakoa and continue to carry the story arcs that have been seeded across, several books going all the way back to, if not House of X and Powers of 10, then titles like Fallen Angels, which also dealt with a little bit of, the Quanon character arc as well. So those are some of my thoughts on Marvel's upcoming February comics. I think, at the end of the year, towards the beginning of a new year, Marvel has a lot of really good, books across their publishing slate. The line of X-Men comics that Marvel is publishing right now has always been my favorite due to the sheer number of books and titles that are lining up with one another. So just super excited to kind of share some of my thoughts and also to examine some of the odds and ends that are happening on the Spider-Man line of comics. Titles like, Red Goblin are really kind of expanding the potential that franchise has as a whole. And so, I'm so incredibly happy to see Marvel spinning new titles out of Venom and Spider-Man and exploring the dark fantasy nature of Spider-Man. Really think the House of Ideas is doing some cool stuff over in the month of February. Let me know if you agree with me over in the comments below. And thank you so much for checking out this video. I'll see you very soon for the next one. Bye.